Meteorologist Sean Sublette. Let's take a look at the data that is making the headlines out there in the climate sphere. One of the things you might have heard is that the last 3 or 4 days have been the hottest on record on Earth. This is the average temperature throughout the entire world. Okay, and this is taken from a data site at the University of Maine. Draw your attention here to this little black line. This is the most recent basically temperature trace during the course of the year. See down here, March, April, May, June, July. And this mess here is basically the last 40 years or so. This black line shows us what the temperature's been over the past few days. And the point here being, this black line is way ahead or way above all this stuff down here. This is why there's all this talk about it being the warmest particular few days on record globally. And it's also important to know, even though this data set only goes back to 1979, most data sets that go before this are way, way cooler than the current period that we're going through right now, the last 30 or 40 years. Heard a lot about the Antarctic ice extent. This is how much ice is around the continent of Antarctica. Remember, it's winter down there now. It's the dead of winter down there now, and the sea ice kind of grows as the winter progresses. And the thing to take home here is this blue line. This is way below all the rest of these lines, which is basically the average of the last 40 years. So this right here, the blue line, is way below even the last year, which is this green line. So the average is in this kind of grayish tinge here, and then the extent was at a record low last year, and it's even below that so far this year. So the ice that's around Antarctica right now is also at a record low. And then we look at what the water temperatures have been across the oceans of the world. And this isn't strictly the ocean temperatures themselves. This is the anomalies or the difference from normal. And if you follow the El Nino, you've heard of that. That's this stuff right here off the coast of South America, where the water temperatures are several degrees above normal for the time of year. And the other thing here is the Atlantic, the Eastern Atlantic in particular, anywhere from just off the coast of the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal and Spain, down here off the African coast. Some very warm water here by a few degrees, warmer than normal. That's where we're also increasingly concerned about an active mid-part of the tropical season. It's been pretty quiet to this point, which is normal for this time of year. We don't get a lot of storms in July as a general rule, but as we get into August and September, do look for the tropical activity to perk up. But for Virginia, we've been fairly lucky. We do not see a whole lot of intense heat coming up over the next couple of weeks. However, there is still a lot of summer ahead of us. Stay cool.